Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Ike from Flipside Music, and welcome to What the F.A.Q. Season 2, Episode 36.
Yes.
Of our weekly question and answer show. You ask us a question, we give you an answer.
Something resembling an answer.
Right, our best guess. If you are used to very specific question and then followed by answer situations, that's not always how it works here. It might be question, diversion.
Yeah, there may be a word within your answer that leads us to a totally different rant.
The question.
Well, yeah. Well, no. Answer, yes. No, I'm saying like when we're giving our answer.
Kind of like this.
Yes, exactly.
Kind of like what's actually happening right now.
Yeah, it's like Inception.
Yeah. So, that's what it is. So, we're going to jump right into it.
Yeah.
To get this thing done. All right, Ben Coons, our preferred Canadian YouTuber. He's a YouTuber in Canada. If you don't know who he is, click on his channel.
Yeah, he's been spitting out demos lately. It's
Yeah. So
his
question is, my question this week is, are the legends true that curly cables are in fact tonally better?
It's a good question. And I think it's very subjective. There's an objective part of the answer, but the result is subjective, I think.
Yes. So technically you have a 10-foot curly cable is really not 10 feet.
No.
It's much more than that. Therefore, your capacitance is going to be higher.
Yes. And when you're increasing that impedance, which is the resistance for your signal to travel through that cable, you're extensively taking off some of that high end. Like a little bit of the stuff beyond treble. Right.
So, therefore, if you like something, if you like it a little bit, if you don't like as much top end on your tone, that could do it.
Yes, there's some people too that I've met that like they started with a curly cable and that's all they ever knew.
Right.
And so that was where their ear became kind of fixed. So yeah, it's like once you become used to it. But I mean that's all just in the ear of the beholder because it's like if you like taking off a little bit of that top end, why not? Some people like Strat users I've noticed tend to be big proponents. Cables. Yeah, they tend to be big proponents of that, especially so if you're on the bridge pickup of a Strat, takes off some of that ice pick.
Yeah, we might warm it up a little bit. Same thing with like all these things are small things, just like like we do with the strings.
Right.
If you use like a Monal or a pure nickel, it takes a little bit of the top end off. Maybe that's right. It all depends on what kind of what you like.
Right.
And I mean, I get it for a Strat or maybe even a Tele if you want to warm that up a little bit.
Yeah, and
it does look cool.
Well, and it's funny to me too, because like because I had this conversation with the customer the other day, and he didn't really understand like when I was saying the word warm, what it meant. Like because the way we use it, it can be referring to something that's like subtractive. So in this case, like it's taking away treble.
Yes.
And then there's other times where you're adding it and you're adding warmth. So you're like to me, it's funny like whatever I don't know. Somehow guitarists, I think for the most part, have agreed what warm means. Because it's like that's a word that like if you're not
fuzzy
in right. But specifically warm.
We should do a whole video of that.
Yeah, of all the terms. Yeah,
what the terms are, and then an example of that.
Yes.
Just because I don't think some people know.
Yeah, we could do a rolling vocabulary.
Because like the one guy was like, "Oh, these frets are fuzzy."
Yeah, that's like that's not quite the right term. You're getting close, but not
right. Because we get this all the time, whether it's in an email, sometimes on the phone.
Right.
It's usually a secondary form of communication that we usually get those kinds of questions.
Yeah.
Or terms that aren't used, the terms that aren't normally used.
Yes.
Because in person, it doesn't seem to happen as much.
No, and most people too. I think. I head it off at the pass. Like usually, if I start into a sentence and I can tell that it's not quite clicking.
They're just getting.
Yeah, usually I'll just say something like, "Hey, if there's any of these terms that I'm using that you're not familiar with, just let me know." And most people that don't have like a big ego anyway, are let me know, and then it's easy to just clear those things up. But yeah, no, I agree. It's always the people that we're dealing with on like a non-person-to-person basis.
Yeah, I seem to kind of throw it out there. I always kind of equate, like, if you ever watched that old 80s movie, Mr. Mom?
Oh, yeah.
So, and he's like, wow, you shot him. What do you use? A 38? He goes, 38, 39, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Oh, you rewire in the house? What do you use? 220? 220, 221, whatever it takes. sometimes we have those people and they just kind of agree.
Yes.
You know, and because they don't know, and we've done this so much that we're like, okay, he doesn't get it.
Yeah,
let's backtrack a bit, and you know,
my favorite's with the strings, like when they're all like, "Oh, nickel plated, yeah, nickel plated, yeah." That's yeah, and it's just funny because it's like,
do you want the round core or the hex core?
Right, and yeah.
You know, and it's not like we're trying to be jerks. It's just some folks don't know, and they don't ask. So here's a little PSA.
Yes, you'll get further.
You'll get further with a sales staff at a store, and I think honestly, mostly it'd be mom and pop probably.
Yes,
that'll be much. If you don't know, it's cool, man. Most people are like okay if you don't know, and if you don't know the term, just ask.
Yes.
Because we appreciate that if somebody's like, I'm not really familiar with that.
Right.
What is that? We'll be more than happy to explain what it is because we know it's stuff.
Well, yeah, like I'd rather clear it up for you than you walking out thinking I just spoke at you. Yeah,
sold you some snake oil.
Right.
Pedals.
Right, because I mean, like some of this stuff, like there's genuine terms that describe, tonal characteristics, and it's like, yeah, we don't all 100% agree on what that is, but for the most part, most guitarists use certain terms to convey certain things.
Yeah.
And so it's like you do kind of have to learn that shorthand so that you can basically communicate with other guitar players, because most guitar players, there's nothing scientific about the way we describe tone.
I need more purple in my monitor.
Yeah, it's not quite chewy enough, and it's like, well, you don't chew tone, but it's if you take it too literally, you can go too far. So
it's just ask.
Right.
I don't know. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. We go off the track.
Yeah.
Okay, question 2. That's you.
All right, Mr. Pat Dubois. He asks. He's actually got 2 questions, but we're going to do the first one first. Any upcoming bands you've discovered during the incoming bands? Is that what he means? Any up and incoming what?
Anyway,
up and coming bands is what he meant. Anyway, any up and coming bands that you've discovered during the pandemic?
No. Not me. There's been a lot going on store-wise and business-wise.
No, but
I don't think I've found anything that's new. I've listened to new stuff, but nothing that's like the up and coming.
Ziggy.
Hey, Ziggy, get out of there, bud.
All right, if you guys hear a bump on the microphone, that's Mr. Ziggy.
That's the dog.
He was sniffing it. Yeah.
Making sure everything's cool.
Yeah. All right. He's laying down now.
He's good. Me personally, I haven't really been doing too much exploring. I'm just steady with the same old shit.
Yeah.
I guess, really.
I've been revisiting some stuff that like I hadn't listened to for a while.
Yeah,
like,
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So I've been doing a lot more of that, and then I haven't been as much. I mean, there's certain things like Nico and I are finding certain bands. It's not stuff I would necessarily listen to all the time, but that Russian band I think is hilarious, like Molchat Doma.
Oh yeah,
Because I mean, to me, like
that one is fun.
Yeah, they literally sound like they plucked them out of like 1983 Russia.
Because I'll walk in and I'm like, what is going on here? You guys are too young to be listening to this crap. And they're like, no, this was out like last year. And I go, oh, well.
Yeah, no, it's bizarre.
And I can't speak to it because I never listened to that type of stuff back then.
Well, it's just funny to me because it has such like a mood to it, but it really sounds like it came right out of that era. Like the production, the whole thing sounds... So it's kind of trippy hearing that sometimes, but Molchat Doma, in case anybody didn't hear that. They're kind of interesting though.
Bring up, side note, you guys don't know. Take a minute. Bennett came in and gave us his new album.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
And he's like, it's a little frightening, just so you know. It's a little frightening. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I got a copy of it, so we'll listen
that's
to
pretty
it.
great. Okay.
All right, back at it. Okay, next question.
Headwalk 26.
Headwalk 26 asks, you suddenly lose the ability to sneeze. How long does it take before you notice?
This is a really good question.
I think if I was stuck in a cinnamon factory with cinnamon dust.
Does that happen pretty often, or do you think that's going to be a while till it happens again?
Not very often.
Yeah.
So it would be a bit. It would certainly be a
Before
bit. Next time I take a tour of the cinnamon factory.
Yeah. Well, then you got like the cinnamon toast factory and the cinnamon roll factory, and you just got to keep kind of moving along the cinnamon.
And it depends if it's Keebler. It's really tough to squeeze in the fucking trees.
Yeah. Yeah, they're little they're wee factories. Don't really accommodate us.
It's tough to get in there. You know.
No, this one's honestly like the next time I use a lot of pepper and stuff, so I feel like I might notice it.
Make me sneeze. Though.
It's odd because like it didn't really used to for me, but every once in a while it still gets me. I guess for sure springtime. By the time like spring rolls around, then I'll know because I do get
spring rolls. Those are so good.
Yeah,
those are good too. I agree, man.
Yeah, exactly. By the time spring rolls around, spring rolls. Anyway, no, I feel like I get bad allergies, so probably springtime.
It would be quite a while for me.
Yeah,
I'm not much of a sneezer.
Yeah.
Not much of a sneezer.
No, I can't say I've ever. Yeah, I don't sneeze too often, but yeah, like in the springtime, whenever everything's starting to bloom. In the spring. All the pennies. A little bit of Nirvana for you guys.
Yeah, sorry, Little in Bloom. That's all dad jokes today. It's gonna be all dad jokes.
Yeah.
You should have been here yesterday. It was oh man, it was brutal. Okay, moving on. So you got the next one.
All right, Mr. Colin James, he says, on the topic of EMGs, do you prefer active or passive pickups and why?
I prefer passive because of what I like to play. I've heard good
Well, I was going to
active,
say...
but I prefer passive if it's me. If they're only talking about EMGs, I've heard their passive stuff and it's good stuff.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say, personally, I like passive pickups as a whole better, but Fishman, and I think this is where Colin James is going, is like the Fishman Fluent stuff is amazing. In terms of like active pickups that hit like several flavors without having that. To me, EMGs can be kind of sterile. I mean, they definitely have their sound and they have their spot. Like, you know, if you're playing metal, that, you know, that pick attack, it's almost like always having a little bit of a compressor on there almost. But yeah, like having that little boost that those give you, I can definitely see the merits there. But the Fishman stuff, though, I think is on like a whole nother. To me, it's almost like the true hybridization of passive and active.
Yeah, because the Gristle Masters, like the Greg Koch signature model and the Reverend guitars, I mean, they sound great. No buzz.
Right.
Sounds killer. We got the regular Fluent stuff, the Keith Merrow stuff.
Right.
That we've installed in guitars, and they sound.
Well, and the Charvels that we've had rolling in, it had like the Fluent set in there, and one had like the more classic one, so you got like two different flavors of humbucker, but you could also do single coil for both. Mm-hmm. And that, like the single coil wasn't like, I don't know, it was very convincing. It wasn't like just, because I feel like a lot of them tend to be, you know, almost like you're just cutting the volume of the humbucker in half.
Yeah, you're not quite getting.
You're not really hitting that single coil jangle.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas like the Charvel, like with the Fluents, definitely nailed that telly.
Yeah,
you could still hit that telly sound.
That thing sounded killer. I think it sounded killer.
Yes.
That's where I would say, but I prefer the passive. But if you're going with the Fishmans, they sound great. So
He was asking why. I mean, for me, I guess dynamics. I don't know if like to me, it's like it just a lot of the active stuff tended to sound sterile and almost like when you're playing solid state amps where everything sounds a little bit more uniform.
Yeah. I think for me, why is just it's kind of what I've used.
Yeah,
just
that would
be
be a big
honest,
part of it
it's
too, for sure.
Kind of what I used.
Yeah, it's home base.
And that's why for me.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to trying other stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things, like, to me, like, with guitars, at the end of the day, like, even if you use classic stuff for modern music, it's tough to, like, get rid of. To me, like, I guess passives tend to show the character of the guitar a little more, I feel like. Maybe, I'm sure a lot of people would argue that, but I feel like a lot of pickups have a lot more character than actives, for me, personally.
I could see that.
Yeah, there's a lot more differences between each one. Anyway.
All right, so last one.
Pat, number 2. So his question is, any interesting or surprising guitar or bass trends? So he has an example, like what are people buying these days that has surprised you? I would say we were more surprised, especially during the pandemic, is like recording gear. Whether you're like working from home or actually just getting into recording for the first time.
Yeah, a lot more stuff orientated towards, like you said, home recording and or podcasty stuff.
Yes.
And that type of thing. That's, I think, where we've seen most of the increase. Loopers, a lot of loopers.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's specific, but I think loopers are a big thing. So, like you said,
a
lot of people are playing with themselves at home. So that's where I think where the big trend is, at least for what we're seeing.
Yes, I would say, way, like a huge inflow of people that are getting loopers. And honestly, it's been people that it's their first pedal period. That's been like a big thing. Is like not only are they getting a looper for the first time, but it might be their first pedal like at all.
Right.
And then the other thing is definitely bands are having to record parts separately and then send them to each other. So
they're trying to do the best they can.
Right.
In order to do that.
Right. And so a lot of people are getting like interfaces and mixers and things like that from us, and condenser mics and all those things, so they can kind of at least get something musical still happening in their lives.
Yeah. That being said, I'd like to thank Mackie for providing us with mixing. They sent us a mixer, and we're using a Mackie condenser mic for this whole thing. So if you kind of like what's going on, affordable, built well, just like Mackie's stuff is.
Yeah, if you guys have noticed, like,
so shameless plug for Mackie. We appreciate you guys helping us out with putting.
Well,
all
no,
of
it's
this
not.
together.
Yeah, it's not totally shameless because it's been a big help lately. If you guys have noticed, at least a better increase in sound, and honestly, you guys are going to hear Ziggy like licking himself somewhere through the middle of this.
Possibly.
So that's all brought to you by Mackie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sound of my dog licking himself is brought to you by Mackie in the highest fidelity.
That clarity
cannot
be obtained, but get out of there. This guy.
Because we keep saying your name.
They can't see him. Yeah, they can't see him. So they're going to be like, these guys, don't do it, bro. All right. So thanks to Mackie. I also want to thank some other folks that have been, chiming in on the site. Weedy. Thanks, dude. Yeah. We appreciate you grabbing some T-shirts and commenting on the videos. Ben Coombs, Colin James, RNA Music, and Angela out there, always kind of giving us free plugs.
Yes.
So we appreciate it. Who else?
Metalhead Hippie, he's been doing
Metalhead Hippie,
giveaways.
That's right. Always kind of super supportive. So we really appreciate all that kind of stuff.
Darrell's been commenting more, so
yeah. So we appreciate all you guys that comment on this stuff. Please ask more questions. Anybody that's new, we appreciate you asking questions too. We actually have started to see an increase in subscriber count.
Yes.
Which is incredible. Yes. Because that's not usually what happens.
No, we're finally getting it, yeah. Instagram's finally working a bit more. And
I think the demos are helping. So if you guys like the demos, all that stuff, we got some stuff that we're working on. We got some cool stuff happening. And we'll probably have another video out mid this week. We're going to do a video with the guys from Texas Toast in regards to maybe a possible
Is this going to be live or video?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let me know.
We'll see.
We'll find out together.
Yeah. So
next time on the Thrilling,
Right. Same bat channel, same bat, whatever they say.
Bat time, same bat channel. That's it. Do we get it at the same time?
The time won't be right.
Yeah.
This shit never goes on right.
Well, do bats really keep time? Well, I guess they do a little bit, but they have to sleep.
Well, they have to because they're usually out at night.
To be all nocturnal.
So they gotta know something.
And do their nocturnal activities.
Right.
Like flying into my window, which happens often, actually.
I got bats in the back of my house. I think they're awesome.
They hang out in like the weird tree like next to the house. So it is kind of funny sometimes.
It's all the doom music is just.
Yeah, I'm congregating bats.
To there. Yeah.
Maybe that's how Black Sabbath started. Ozzy's whole career.
It was just from wild bats.
Yeah, congregating.
All right, now we're off the path. All right, well, that's it. We're going to finish this up. Otherwise, we'll just start talking about nonsense. And that thing's going on. So
so that's perfect
time. All right, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Ring the bell. Ding, ding.
Ding-a-ling.
Ow.